This big fish t-shirt, 68 cents. Like, this isn't normal. And Temu didn't invent $1 t-shirts, but all of this, the casino wheel they have, the flashy colors, the shop like a billionaire, it's given us an illusion that all of this is normal. This shift, it didn't happen overnight. It's crept in quietly, slowly, in the background. Because fast fashion isn't about clothes anymore. It's about content. And your brain, well, that's the real product here. H&M, Zara, Shein, Temu, they made it insanely easy to stay on trend without breaking the bank. And this industry creates more than 92 million tons of textile waste each year. That's enough to fill 1.5 Empire State Buildings every single day. On top of this, Shein was the most downloaded fashion app worldwide, and the most visited fashion website a few years back. But there's something here that barely anyone talks about. It's not just the cheap clothes that makes fast fashion explode. So how did we go from sewing our own clothes not that long ago in human history to throwing away entire wardrobes every single season? And who was the culprit that actually made that happen? Before fast fashion, buying clothes wasn't something people did every week for fun. Clothes were handmade, they were expensive, they were built to last. You could probably see this from closets of people older than you. They have pieces that have been there for decades. In 2025, the average American buys 53 new items of clothing every single year. And that's just the average. 100 years ago, people just bought a few new clothes every year. That's because new outfits were really only for the rich. Even they had to wait for tailors to make them by hand. The Industrial Revolution changed everything though. Machines made it easier to produce clothes in bulk, and suddenly, ready-made clothes were available to more people. Department stores and mail-order catalogs then made shopping even easier. But while clothing became more accessible, it still wasn't about chasing any trends. Fashion styles still stuck around for a long time. That's why you see people talk about them in decades, rather than years or seasons. People bought clothes because they needed them, not because they wanted to keep up with whatever was in that season. And you can see the first big shift when fashion began marketed as a lifestyle. Magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar showed Americans the latest styles. They made readers dream of looking like the models themselves. These magazines didn't just display clothes for people to buy, they sold us a fantasy. The idea of buying clothes to express personal style started to become a thing. But then the mall boom came. In the 50s and 60s, malls weren't just about shopping, they became social hubs. People hung out, grabbed food, and browsed racks of clothes together. By the mid-1970s, malls and shopping centers made up 33% of US retail sales. Just 10 years later, this went up to 52% of retail sales in America. Shopping became entertainment rather than a necessity. Department stores, brands, and malls began using what's called visual merchandising. This wasn't really that big of a thing before. Carefully crafted mannequins, people window shopping, this started to draw people in. And suddenly, shopping wasn't just about replacing worn-out clothes or getting something new for an event. It was about finding new styles, staying on trend. And once everything changed, Zara and H&M entered the scene with a whole new approach. They took the idea of high fashion and they made it affordable. But what really made them stand out was their speed. Zara's business model was all about instant fashion, getting runway-inspired designs into stores in as little as 2 weeks. And it's gotten so crazy now that Zara's design team makes about 40,000 new items each year. Then they select around 12,000 to display in the stores. If you compare this to other companies, they make between 2,000 to 4,000 designs per year. These brands didn't spend a lot on advertising. They focus on location, store design, quick inventory changes to build urgency. Walking into a Zara store, even in the beginning, they wanted you to feel like stepping into a constantly evolving fashion showcase. They wanted you to think in your head that, well, if I don't buy this trendy jacket today, it's probably gone tomorrow. This strategy relies heavily on the fear of missing out more than anything else. But first, machines made clothes faster, then malls made shopping a weekend activity. So that brings us to Amazon. Because we really have to talk about when Amazon introduced one-click shopping in 1999, which they patented, by the way. This made impulse buying even easier. Little did we know that this would contribute to the fast fashion economy that we have today. Amazon wanted you to not have to think twice before buying something. Social media supercharged this trend. Platforms like Instagram and Pinterest, and later TikTok, became fashion playgrounds, resulting in the average Gen Z shopper seeing 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day across different platforms. It's gotten to the point now where influencers are showcasing the latest styles and brands realizing that they can turn social media users into pretty much unpaid advertisers for them. This wasn't marketing, it was pure influence on steroids delivered to you in dopamine hits thousands of times per day. Shein and Temu took this to another level. And just to give you a better idea, Shein adds around 6,000 to 10,000 new items every single day. They encourage their users to share their purchases online, flooding social media with content showing affordable fashion items, and creating this endless loop of discovery and desire. Temu, on the other hand, focuses on offering extremely low prices, which they also bombard social media with ads and influencer partnerships, even their shop like a billionaire Super Bowl commercials. So you can see how influencers are playing such a big role in fast fashion success. Without them, the industry wouldn't be as big as it is right now. Unlike traditional ads, influencers are aiming for relatability. Authenticity. When you see someone you follow on Instagram or TikTok raving about a new dress or showing off the latest haul, it feels like advice from a friend, not a sales pitch. This is why we have that entire UGC creator industry now promoting products as if they used it, just to trick us into thinking that this is a real testimonial, when in reality it's not. Fast fashion brands know this, and they pour millions into those influencer collaborations. Micro-influencers, those with smaller niche followings, often perform better than even the big influencers, because you could pay like 100 micro-influencers the same amount of money, get a wider, diverse set of eyeballs on your products. And if you get bombarded enough times by the same product or the same orange casino app, you're like, well, maybe I should try this out. And this works amazingly well. The recommendations feel more genuine, their audiences are more likely to trust their opinions. This social proof strategy works so well because people look to others to figure out what they want to do. And this strategy at its core is nothing wrong per se. So many companies do this, many with non-malicious intent. The reality is when you see dozens of people buying the same thing, this creates a bandwagon effect that makes you want to join in. But Shein and Temu didn't stop at influencer marketing though. That would have been fine if they did. They turned shopping into a game. Their apps use insane rewards, points, exclusive discounts to keep you engaged, casino-like daily spins. This is classic gamification. It's like taking the shopping mall that we talked about, the magazine, the Amazon one-click buying, and you had a TikTok-style algorithm on top of it, and mash it all into one app and expect nothing bad to happen. But these apps don't care. They're just minting money for their investors. And these tactics work because they tap into something that's called variable rewards. When you don't know what reward you'll get, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation. It's the same thing that makes slot machines so addictive. By adding these elements into their apps, fast fashion brands keep us all hooked and encourage non-stop buying. You can see how brands aren't selling you outfits anymore. They're running complex psychological operations on you. Temu gives you a daily spin, Shein throws you exclusive rewards, TikTok drowns you in fake influencer unboxings, scroll, discover, add to cart, hit buy. That's the dopamine loop they want you to be in, and the behavioral feedback cycle. And the more you play, the more you crave the next hit. Over time, your brain starts to expect novelty, to associate fashion with excitement, with status, with relevance. And that's why your closet is full, but you still feel like you got nothing to wear. And the end result isn't just a landfill somewhere halfway across the world. It's also a bedroom floor buried in unopened packages, a closet that stresses you out. And most of all, it's attention fragmentation. It's mental wear and tear, chasing trends, keeping up, swiping, scrolling, comparing, shopping, and throwing it away. Fashion isn't just clogging our landfills, it's clogging our brains. And behind the curtain, there's a much bigger engine at work. But let's be real, this isn't just a consumer problem. Temu, Shein, H&M, Zara, they're all pure profit-seeking entities for their shareholders and venture fund. Can you even blame them? That's the system in which they operate. They don't really care about clothes, they care about growth. They operate more like tech companies rather than clothing stores or fashion brands. The system isn't really broken, it's working exactly as it's designed. If you look at the numbers, the incentives, the business models, none of it really makes sense for these companies to change. Their profits depend on you buying more, even the sustainable ones, not less. We want to shop better, buy less, but we're not actually in control. And all this just hijacks our attention better than almost anything else on the internet.